You can run a meeting with 30 people, or you can run a household of 5, keeping track of every schedule, every appointment, every permission slip before anyone else is even awake. Either way, you can still be terrified of being seen. Not looked at, seen. There's a difference. And I don't think we talk about that difference nearly enough, because here's what I've learned. For a lot of accomplished women, the fear isn't being in front of people. We've been in front of people our whole lives. We've led meetings, raised families, managed careers, handled crises. The fear isn't being looked at. The fear is letting people see that something inside us has changed. I'm Kiley Suarez, and this is The Joy Shift. Today, I want to talk to you about something that I think so many women experience, but very few of us have words for. Why the women who seem the most confident, the women everyone depends on, can absolutely freeze when it comes to admitting they want something more. And if that's you, I hope by the end of this conversation, you'll understand why. And more importantly, I hope you'll feel a little less alone. If the Joy Shift is where you come to hear the things you've been feeling but couldn't quite put into words, I'd love for you to follow the show so we can keep having these conversations every week. Let's dive in. I have a feeling I know who's listening today. You're competent. People count on you. Honestly, they count on you for just about everything. And maybe you've built a successful career. Maybe you've managed teams. Maybe you've become the person everyone calls when something goes wrong because they know you'll figure it out. Or maybe your leadership happens inside your home. You're the one who remembers everyone's schedule, birthday, to-dos. Who knows where everything is? Who signs the permission slips, schedules the dentist appointments, orders the birthday gifts, and keeps the family calendar running without anyone really noticing that you're the one making it all happen. You became the CEO of your household, and nobody handed you that title. It just slowly became your job. No performance review, no paycheck, no promotion, just the quiet expectation that you'll keep holding everything together. Maybe you're listening while you're folding laundry. Maybe you're sitting in the school pickup line. Maybe you're driving home after another day of taking care of everyone else's needs. And everyone around you knows exactly what they need from you. But can I ask you something? If someone stopped you today, looked you in the eye, and simply asked, what do you want? How long would it take you to answer? And not because you don't have an answer, but because you spent so many years asking everyone else what they need that somewhere along the way, you stopped asking yourself. Now, here's what's interesting. Being looked at has never been your problem. You do that every day. You've spoken in meetings, hosted family holidays, walked into rooms where everyone already knows your name. So when someone talks about the fear of being seen, it's easy to think, that's not me. I'm not shy. I don't mind attention. That's what I used to think too, until I realized there are actually 2 completely different kinds of being seen. One is performance, the other is truth. Performance says, look what I can do. Truth says, this is who I'm becoming. Those are not the same thing. You'll stand in front of a room and give a presentation without your voice shaking. You'll host Thanksgiving dinner for 20 people. You'll smile through another week while everyone assumes you've got it all together. But try saying this out loud to someone who really knows you. I think I want something different for the next 20 years of my life. Feel what happens in your body. That little tightening in your chest, that urge to immediately explain yourself or soften it or make a joke. That's the fear, not the rule, the truth. And here's the part I wish more women talked about. The hardest part isn't wanting more. It's feeling guilty that you want more when your life is already good. You love your family. You're grateful for your career. You've built a beautiful life. People would probably look at your life and say, you have so much to be grateful for and thankful for. And they're right. You do. That's what makes this so confusing. Because somewhere inside you, there's still this quiet tug. A whisper, a dream, question. Is there something else waiting for me? And the moment that question shows up, so does guilt. Who am I to want more? Shouldn't this be enough? Can I tell you something that I've been reminding myself lately? Gratitude and desire can exist in the same heart. You can love the life you've built and still feel called toward another chapter. Those things are not in competition. One doesn't cancel out the other. I didn't fully understand any of this until recently. And honestly, I'm still living it. It showed up in the simplest way imaginable. People asking me one question. So, what do you do? For years, that answer was easy. I'm a CPA. Simple and clear. No explanation required. And that's certified public accountant in case you didn't know. Now I find myself saying things like, I'm a romance author. I'm a life coach. I host a podcast. And can I just tell you, some days those words roll right off my tongue. Other days, I hear myself say them and think, wow, we're really saying this out loud now. It still feels vulnerable. Not because I don't believe in what I'm building, I do, but because every one of those answers introduces people to a version of me they didn't know before. And for just a split second, every single time, I want to retreat. I want them to ask someone else. I want the conversation to move on because I know what's coming. The pause, the curious look. Sometimes it's excitement. Sometimes it's confusion. Sometimes it's nothing at all. But fear doesn't wait to find out. Fear fills in the blanks. It whispers. Who do you think you are? The funny thing is, nobody has actually said those words to me, but I've heard them in my own head plenty of times. And there's always this tiny moment where I could choose the safer answer. I could just say, I used to work in accounting. I could skip the coaching, leave out the writing, and pretend the podcast is just a fun side project. I've stood in that tiny moment more times than I can count. And every time I choose to tell the truth anyway. And not because it's easy, because it still isn't, but because I realized something. The woman I'm hoping hears this isn't standing in front of me. She's probably driving home from work, making dinner, sitting in her car, trying to find 5 quiet minutes before she walks into the house. She's wondering if she's the only one who feels this pull towards something more. And if I don't say it first, she'll keep believing she's alone. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't about failure. Failure has never really scared me because I've failed before. I'll fail again. That's part of building anything worthwhile. What scared me was being witness while I was becoming. I wasn't afraid of trying something new. I was afraid of people watching me become someone they hadn't expected me to become. That's a completely different fear. And I have a feeling it's yours too. So what do we do with all of this? Because awareness is beautiful, but awareness by itself doesn't change our lives. Here's what I've come to believe. For years, I told myself I was just a private person. Maybe you've said that too. I don't need attention. I don't like putting myself out there. I'd rather just keep things to myself. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes it's protection disguised as privacy. That realization stopped me in my tracks because I wasn't protecting my peace. I was protecting the version of me that everyone already understood. The dependable one, the responsible one, the one who always had it together, the one who never surprised anyone. That version of me had earned respect, and respect felt safe. So every time I imagined doing something different, writing books, starting a podcast, coaching women, there was this invisible alarm that went off inside my head. And not because those things were wrong, because they required people to see me differently. And maybe you felt that too. Maybe it isn't writing. Maybe it's going back to school, starting a business, leaving a career that no longer fits or serves you, taking better care of yourself, setting boundaries, traveling by yourself, moving, falling in love again. Whatever it is, the dream isn't what feels scary. It's imagining other people's reactions. It's hearing the question before anyone even asks it. But why? Isn't your life already good? What more could you possibly want? And because we don't always have a perfect answer, we stay quiet, we stay capable, and we stay exactly where everyone expects us to stay, including ourselves. Can I tell you the sentence that changed everything for me? You cannot become someone in secret. I sat with that for a long time because it's true. The life you're dreaming about, the woman you're becoming, eventually someone has to see her. And I don't mean thousands of people. I mean one safe person, one honest conversation, one moment where you stop pretending you don't want what you actually want. That's where change begins. Not with a giant announcement, not with a dramatic leap, with honesty. I've realized we've been taught to think visibility is the giant leap off a cliff. You either stay hidden or suddenly tell everyone you're reinventing your life. No wonder we don't move. That sounds terrifying. But what if that's not how transformation actually works? What if becoming isn't one giant leap? What if it's 100 tiny moments of courage? One conversation, one class, one coffee date, one application, one sentence spoken out loud, one tiny step that says, maybe I'm allowed to want this. That's how I think change really happens. Quietly and slowly, one honest choice at a time. I call it safe experimentation. And not because we're playing small, but because we're giving ourselves permission to practice. Before I ever called myself a coach, I coached. Before I believed I was a writer, I wrote. And before I felt like a podcaster, I hit record. Confidence didn't show up first. It came after I kept showing up. Maybe we've been waiting for confidence when what we really need is permission. Permission to be a beginner again, permission to not have all the answers, permission to let people witness us while we're still figuring it out. Because that's actually what courage looks like, not certainty, movement. So here's what I want you to do this week, not next month, not next year, this week. I want you to let one safe person hear one true thing. That's it. Not your whole 5-year plan, not your entire dream, just one honest sentence. Maybe it's, I've been thinking about writing again. I think I want to start something. I'm realizing I don't want the next 20 years to look exactly like the last 20. That's enough. Don't explain it and don't apologize for it. Don't immediately follow it with, it's probably nothing, or I'm probably crazy, or never mind. Just let the sentence exist. Do you know why? Because every time you do that, you're teaching your nervous system that telling the truth is safe. You're proving to yourself that wanting something doesn't make you selfish or ungrateful or unrealistic. It makes you human. And if your body immediately wants to pull the words back, that's okay. Mine still does. Mine still does too. So don't judge yourself. Just notice it. Take a breath. Leave the words where they are. That uncomfortable feeling, that's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's usually a sign that you're growing. Now, let me tell you why I think this matters so much. Because the biggest risk isn't embarrassment. The biggest risk isn't failure. The biggest risk is that 10 years from now, you're still introducing yourself as someone you stopped being years ago. That thought honestly breaks my heart. And not because I think everyone needs to reinvent themselves, but because I think so many women actually quietly abandon parts of themselves to keep everyone else comfortable, little by little, year after year, until one day they can't even remember what they wanted in the first place. I don't want that for you. And I don't want that for me either. So here's what I'm choosing to believe. My wanting doesn't erase my gratitude. Your wanting doesn't erase yours. You can love your family, love your life, love everything that you've built, and still feel called towards something more. That's not betrayal. That's growth. That's what second acts are made of. If today's conversation stirred something in you, if there was a moment where you thought, she's talking about me, I want you to know something. You don't have to figure out your next chapter by yourself. Because here's what I've learned. Most women don't stay stuck because they don't know what to do. They stay stuck because they've spent so many years taking care of everyone else that they stopped trusting themselves. They've stopped trusting the quiet voice that's been whispering, there's more for you. And that's the work I love most, helping women hear that voice again. Not by blowing up their lives, not by becoming someone completely different, but by helping them come home to the woman they've been becoming all along. That's why later this month, I'll be opening the doors to something that's incredibly close to my heart. It's called From Stuck to Second Act. It's an 8-week coaching experience for a small group of women who know that they're standing at the edge of something new, even if they can't quite put words to it yet. We'll have honest conversations, we'll ask hard questions, and we'll celebrate tiny, brave moments. We'll stop waiting until we're confident and start building lives that actually feel like ours. And not because someone hands us permission, because we finally give it to ourselves. If your heart has been quietly whispering, I think I'm ready, I'd love to walk alongside you. Just send me a message that says, I'm ready. That's it. We'll take the next step together. Before I go, I want to leave you with one thought. You're allowed to love the life that you've built and still dream about the life you're building. Those things don't compete. They belong together because wanting more doesn't make you ungrateful. It makes you alive. So this week, tell one safe person one true thing. Don't make a big announcement. Don't explain yourself and don't apologize. Just let yourself be witnessed because every beautiful second act begins the same way with one honest sentence. And remember, you don't have to earn permission to want a beautiful next chapter. You only have to be brave enough to admit it's calling you. And to all my fellow joy shifters, thank you for letting me walk beside you. Until next time, keep choosing yourself, one joyful shift at a time.